A great deal of the Orthodox has long noticed that the most powerful attacks on the Church happen on the eve of big holidays. This year's Lent, with the celebration of Easter, just proves it once more. Easter 2020 is very special. Only a couple of months ago, none of us could picture that we might end up outside the church on Easter night because of the coronavirus epidemic in our country. At the time of the video release in Ukraine, over 200 people died of COVID-19 over a month and a half. Of course, behind every such death is a tragedy. Tragedy for the near ones of the deceased and for all who love them. Yet here is some statistics. In January 2020 alone, 621 people died of flu and pneumonia in Ukraine. In January 2019, even more died, 908. Well, people are constantly dying of similar symptoms in our country. But how often do these really disappointing figures trigger panic in the media? At the moment, quarantine, fear of infection, and real information attacking the media have affected the consciousness of millions. People are scared and ready to believe everything they are told. In the situation at hand, they are very easy to manipulate by appointing a guilty party. Pawn shops, banks, construction supermarkets are opened in the country. Mass events are organized when opening new stores. However, many media outlets portray the church as guilty of the spread of coronavirus, which is very convenient. After all, the church is humbly silent in responding to any lie, even blatant and hateful. In this story, we will analyze all the latest attacks by the media and odious politicians against the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, as well as showcase how anti-church technologies are put in place. In early April, an outbreak of coronavirus in the Kiev-Pechersk Lavra was reported. First, the mayor of Kiev, Vitaly Klitschko, voiced about 30 infected monks. Then official figures allegedly jumped to the mark of 90 people. 2 monks died in the monastery, Archimandrite Nectarios and Hierodeacon Naum, but the doctors did not confirm they had died of the coronavirus. But long before these deaths, on April 4th, the Lavra, on its own initiative, switched to a closed regime of service, and on April 13th, the Kiev authorities announced quarantine in the monastery. A fair portion of Ukrainian media reported about the infection and death in the Lavra with keen delight.
Дообнімалися. На Страсному тижні Києво-Печерський монастир став епіцентром епідемії коронавірусу.
Отже, захоплена українська святиня Києво-Печерська Лавра, в якій сидять московські мракобісні сатаністи, українофоби, а в скорочену УПЦ МП досягли вже цифри майже в 100 інфікованих. І це ще не вечір.
Святиня православ'я перетворилася на інфекційну бомбу, яка повільно вибухає в центрі Києва.
But the most malicious glee was caused by rumors about the illness of the Lavra's abbot Metropolitan Paul.
Якщо додати до цього, що в нього також є діабет і проблеми з легенями, то прогнозувати можна усе, що завгодно.
Almost everyone considered it their duty to ridicule the hierarch and cited in full blast the words he said on March 13th on the second day of quarantine.
Молитесь, поститесь, ходите в храм, причащайтесь и причащайте детей маленьких. Все спешите в храм, читайте псалтырь, Евангелие, обнимите друг друга, покройте все любовью, потому что за эти грехи Господь посылает всякого рода нам испытания.
Is there a body of evidence in the course of the archpastor? And is the entire Kiev-Pechersk Lavra guilty of something? It bears reminding that the Ukrainian authorities did not close churches for believers, but only limited the number of people who can be in a church simultaneously. Worship was permitted, therefore priests and hierarchs had every right to speak about the need for confession and communion. And now let's remember what Lavra is and how its inhabitants live. Any monastery is a closed community of people who are constantly in touch with one another in everyday life by performing their obedience at a meal and so on. In fact, a monastery is one big family, a hostel of people glorifying God. And it doesn't make a difference for the spread of the virus if the church is a dormitory or any other type. On April 21st, an outbreak of the coronavirus was found in a hostel in the city of Vishneva in the Kiev region. 78 cases, including 16 children, 2 died. What is the fundamental difference between a monastery dorm and a secular one? The situation is completely identical. But for some reason, we do not hear the curses of the media against the sick in Vishneva and the accusations of spreading the infection.
ФСБ Московского патриархата. То есть это гнездо такое коронавируса, просто такое заразное гнездо, где этот коронавирус свил просто свой алтарь.
Now, a lot of media outlets unanimously scream at the top of their lungs that the UOC calls for the quarantine violation.
Московська церква в Україні знехтувала правилами карантину під час пандемії.
Казали, приходьте, моліться, цілуйте ікони, обійми коронавірусу відкриті.
Там відвідати богослужіння не лише закликають, а ще й натякають. Вірити інформації про поширення коронавірусу не варто.
Let's listen to what the hierarchs actually say. Here is the decision taken at a meeting of the Synod of the UOC on the issue of coronavirus.
Уважно ставитись до рішень та рекомендацій Міністерства охорони здоров'я України і органів державної влади щодо протиепідемічних заходів та обмежень.
His Beatitude Onufri directly called on the flock to comply with the instructions of the authorities and doctors.
Ми повинні не повставати проти того режиму, який вносить з собою коронавірус, технічних, санітарних норм, які треба виконувати для того, щоб не допустити поширення цього вірусу. Терпіть, покайтеся і моліться. І виконуйте те, що сьогодні кажуть вам медики, ті, хто розуміє цю техніку безпеки при цій хворобі. Виконуйте це.
At the same time, his Beatitude announced before Easter that Easter worship would be performed and those who came to them would pray outdoors. But still, those who decided to stay at home would not be left out.
Сповіщаю вам, дорогі брати і сестри, що в храмах пасхальні богослужіння будуть звершуватися. Хочу втішити тих, хто із-за хвороби або по якихось інших причинах залишиться вдома, що ви не будете покинуті. Ви зможете побачити пасхальну службу по телебаченню.
Do the words of the first hierarchs call for quarantine violations as journalists and politicians persist? The question is rhetorical. For many media outlets, the situation where the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church closed temples for his believers, while his Beatitude Onufri didn't, was completely mind-blowing. After all the previous years, they kept running on an idea that the Ukrainian Church was simply a subordinate part of the Russian Church and fulfilled all the guidelines sent from Moscow.
До речі, УПЦ МП навіть не реагує на заклики патріарха Кирила залишатися вдома.
But when there is an order, its performance stops at nothing, even if it goes against pure logic. A new version is whipped up on the go. The UOC is fulfilling the FSB order to destroy Ukraine.
Я далека від думки, що всі святі отці там, що всі вони працюють на ФСБ. Але хтось це точно робить.
Це має знов такі ознаки диверсії. Я не виключаю, що можливо вони виконують от таку вказівку, щоб поширити максимально вірус.
It hardly makes sense to seriously discuss the version that the Ukrainian Church decided to kill Ukrainians in order to please Moscow. Let's better take a look at what methods they put in place to convince us of their truth, so to say. On the eve of Easter, Ukrainian media were filled with the rumors that His Beatitude Onufry and His Eminence Metropolitan Anthony were sick with COVID-19. These rumors reached a peak in the work of TSN, in particular its long-term author of anti-church fibs, Sergei Galchenko. He called such details which are simply impossible to fabricate. The hierarchs were allegedly hospitalized in special VIP wards at the Institute of the Heart, moreover, incognito.
Обидвох лікують по протоколу боротьби з симптомами COVID-19. Але коли в суботу зранку інформація про перебування в клініці обох інфікованих коронавірусом очільників церкви виходить в пресу, вони терміново їдуть в Лавру і записують звернення. Ми здорові, готові служити. Пізніше на загальній службі вони так і не з'являться.
This accumulation has several false theses at once. First of all, at the time of the release of this video, according to the information of the Union of Orthodox Journalists, His Beatitude Onufry and Metropolitan Anthony were completely healthy. Secondly, and contrary to the statement of Galchenko, both His Beatitude Onufry and Metropolitan Anthony took part in the Easter worship. The primate served in the house church of Fairfania, while Metropolitan Anthony served in the St. Nicholas Church at the Lavra. On Sunday, he also took part in the telethon Easter, We Are People. The statement that the hierarchs who were hospitalized with COVID rushed back to the Lavra looks ridiculous altogether. On the one hand, TSN tells what dreadful and deadly the coronavirus is, but on the other it says that the allegedly ill hierarchs who had barely appeared in the hospital wards darted off their beds and returned to the monastery. Just a day before the release of this story, its author Galchenko was caught in a blatant provocation against the church, which immediately went viral. AP News journalist Vasily Apasov said that in the Resurrection Temple, where the UOC delegation had brought the holy fire, a certain person with 1+1 microphone offered AP News assistant to kiss an icon for money and record it on camera. In a photograph of the person with the microphone, it is easy to identify Sergei Galchenko himself. Yes, he did not deny this, saying he had not been getting on with the church for many years. Galchenko uses similar methods in almost every plot about the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. It is enough to recall how, back in 2018, he tried to dig up the necessary information from the residents of Pochayiv, introducing himself as a journalist of Russian television.
Замаскувавшись під кореспондента російського каналу. Підходимо до жіночок біля Лаврського ринку. Кажуть, приїхали з Закарпаття. Із Росії зйомочна група.
А ви з Росії, да?
Да, з Первого каналу.
The same methods of manipulation and falsehood are used by Channel 5.
Чи працює мережа Російської православної церкви в Україні як диверсант?
In the plot about the Ukrainian Orthodox Church on Poroshenko's channel, almost every thesis is a lie. First of all, one cannot help but see that throughout the entire video, mass services and religious processions of the Ukrainian Church of past years are shown as if they were taking place now. But let's move on to the case study.
Павло Лебедь має вплив на різних людей, простих і відомих. І от уже уславлений боксер Олександр Усік також закликає ігнорувати оголошений державою карантин.
Barefaced lie. Neither the UOC Metropolitan Paul nor Alexander Usyk urged to ignore quarantine. We repeat, the state did not prohibit the holding of services, therefore it is allowed to go to the temple, but one should observe the quarantine norms.
З вини Павла Лебедя у Лаврі вже померло 2 монаха – архімандрит Нектарій Коваленко, а слідом за ним і єродиякон Наум Федякін. Лише тоді територію Києво-Печерського заповідника закрили на повний карантин.
It is a lie again. There is no evidence to claim that both monks died of COVID-19 and the Lavra's abbot is at fault. Recall that the Lavra's administration, on its own initiative, locked down the monastery on April 4th, many days before these deaths.
Синод Російської православної церкви, який відбувся 16 березня у Москві, заборонив масові заходи у церквах по всіх єпархіях в Російській Федерації та в окупованому Криму. Рішення підписав і член Синоду РПЦ, громадянин України Онуфрій Березовський. Керуючись благословенням святійшого патріарха, духовенство закликає парафіян до домашньої молитви, до зняття обмежень, введених владою. Це стосується у тому числі днів Страсної Седмиці і свята Святої Пасхи.
Blatant lies of Channel 5 reporters. At the Synod of the Russian Orthodox Church on March 17, 2020, no bans were adopted on the conduct of worship in Russia. It was only about measures against the spread of a possible infection in temples, refusal to kiss the communion cup, the hands of a priest, disinfection of icons, etc. In addition, His Beatitude Onufry was not present at this session and could not sign anything. As for the document quoted in the frame, it is not a ban but a guideline to the hierarchs of the Russian Church how to hold worship during Holy Week and Easter. The circular was issued by the Office of the Moscow Patriarchate on April 8th, 3 weeks after the Synod of the Russian Orthodox Church, and His Beatitude Onufry has nothing to do with it. Looking at the faces of people slinging tons of mud at the church, there is a familiar feeling something similar had been already said and done before, though on a different occasion. Both Channel 5 and TSN, all these politicians and speakers, were top figures in the propaganda of the Tomos a year ago. They lied, manipulated and slapped the Ukrainian Church for her reluctance to unite with the brainchild of Poroshenko, the UOC. Now they are lying and manipulating for another reason, but the purpose remained the same: struggle with the church. They try in the same way to convince their viewers that the Ukrainian church is bad, while the UOC and Greek Catholic are good.
І саме цьогорічний Великдень чітко проявив різницю між промосковською верхівкою, якою фактично нехтує державними інтересами і наражає на небезпеку життя людей, і Українською православною церквою України.
Позиція православної церкви України викликає більше довіри, більше поваги.
Насколько же вульгарно, насколько позорно, насколько бесчеловечной, хамской выглядит позиция так называемой Украинской православной церкви Московского патриархата, которая насправді является, конечно же, прямо управляемым отделом ФСБ. Образцовое поведение греко-католической церкви, ПЦУ, которая просто видно, как заботятся о людях. Я просто вижу, как они фронту помогают сейчас.
A year ago, they did not succeed. Now they are trying to take advantage of the situation to create an annoying sidelight with a specific purpose, to discredit the UOC in the eyes of society, to image the church as the enemy. They also pursue another target, to convince the authorities to transfer the Kiev-Pechersk Lavra and with a big luck, the Почаїв Lavra to the UOC.
Слід розірвати з Московською патріархією договори оренди приміщень, що перебувають у державній власності. Насамперед, Києво-Печерської Лаври, переконують релігійні аналітики.
Зараз українська держава має всі повноваження на те, щоб за недотримання умов договору оренди фактично розірвати цю оренду з братією Московського патріархату.
Я думаю, зараз розкішна нагода відправити священників Московського патріархату назад до себе додому в Росію, щоб вони там лікувалися, потім правили, потім, заробляли гроші, бо я думаю, вони достатньо вже побули в Україні і достатньо помолилися за усіх нас в лапках.
The fact that many of these statements fall under the article of the Criminal Code on inciting interfaith hatred does not bother them. There was no question of any responsibility for this under Poroshenko. Maybe something will change now. There is no doubt that the current government should respond to the manipulations of ideologies of the power of the past. But how should we, the believers, treat the work of TSN, Channel 5 and others? First of all, without ruffle and condemnation. They've already condemned themselves. But perhaps the Church is really obliged, after the example of others, to close temples before believers, to stop confession and Holy Communion. Perhaps the temple and church sacraments aren't the main thing, and one just needs to survive so as not to be among the coronavirus victims. For an atheist, the end of earthly life is a catastrophe and the end of everything. It is atheists who serve as a target for all media attacks in the lockdown. In a number of Western countries and in ours, even before Easter, a poster gained popularity with the inscription, "Christ will rise, but you will not if you die of coronavirus. Stay at home." But the Christian knows this is a lie. Everyone is going to resurrect, both believers and unbelievers, both sinners and righteous. The only difference is the fate of each of us after the resurrection. Christ clearly tells us about this. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. We, Christians, support and respect power in an effort to save people's lives. But we also know that we have to do everything so that after physical death, whatever it may be caused by, the Savior will put us on his right.